All right, what is up, guys? So I thought I'd just quickly weigh in on the Spotify situation because, I haven't been weighing in on it much because I think it is going to backfire so badly that it's better just to wait and watch them crash and burn. But here's what's happening. So they have this whole thing now where they want to censor your music according to what they subjectively will call hate speech. It's being done to them. When I read through this article, there's tons of like this non-government organizations coming in saying, you have to do this. This is unacceptable. That seems to be the whole situation. And this is from the Spotify site itself. It's in the description on this video. If you want to go through that, it should all be in there and clickable so you can check it out. It's a newsroom at Spotify. I'll read a few parts of this. I'll tell you why it's going to crash and burn. And man, I think that's the best situation. I don't really like, if you're into music, if you create music, if it's your art, if they're trying to censor your art, you should feel no pain for them. You try to take my rights away, in the words of Ivan Drago, if Spotify dies, it dies, and I don't care. So here's what they're trying to do now. First, they give you a heads up on how great you are as an artist. We love that our platform is home to so much diversity because we believe in openness, tolerance, respect, and freedom of expression. And we want to promote those values through music on our platform. See, they say that unless it's expression that they don't like. However, we do not tolerate hate content on Spotify. Content that expressly and principally promotes, advocates, or incites hatred or violence against a group or individual based on characteristics including race, religion, gender identity, sex, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, veteran status, or disability. So that's a lot of things. And the problem is not that I want people to say bad things about your race or your sexual orientation. The problem is that even saying good things about someone can be construed as negative to someone else. So if I say, I think black people are the most intelligent people in the world, what if Jewish people say, well, that's terrible because we think that we're equal, or whatever it might be. Everything you say can trigger somebody and make them upset. So the fact that Spotify is going to have this subjective power to just tell us what people actually meant by their art is insane. So let's keep this going. I'm going to go through this a little more. There's a lot of red flags in this article, so let's start going through them. Okay, so they could remove the content and they won't promote it or so on. Of course, those are all things that they could do. And, this is one of the reasons that there's so many non-government organizations on this list of people helping them identify what's right and wrong. These non-government organizations, these are all the same type of organizations that try to go through the government. So they try to get the same type of laws passed. They're just regulating just a business right now, but they'd like to regulate everything. In the 1980s, they did this same thing. They went after pretty much everything that like the religious right didn't like. It was all about sins and what the children were listening to. And we'll go through that too. I have a cool article about that I want to go through as well. But let's go through a little bit more of this now. Okay, so here's the point where they admit that it's absolutely subjective and they will be judging the context along with these non-government organizations. So they say, at the same time, however, it's important to remember that cultural standards and sensitivities vary widely. There will always be content that is acceptable in certain circumstances, but is offensive in others. And we will always look at the entire context. Okay, great. So they're going to look at the context so that music consumers don't have to, because most music consumers are too busy trying to turn on their toaster with their television remote because they're so dumb. They're there for an hour doing that. They can't possibly think about the words in a song or the context of those words said. So Spotify and these non-government organizations are going to do that for us. So they'll tell us what we're allowed to consume on this platform. And as I believe that it's completely fine for them to tell us what to do on their platform, I just think it's incredibly dumb because people are going to leave. When they put those stickers, let's get to that article actually. This is the Parents Music Resource Center. That's what it is, the PMRC. So they're the people who are responsible for those stickers that they put on records to tell you that it's a cool record and you should listen to it. It was meant to do the opposite, of course, but it sold more records than it stopped from getting sold. And that's what's going to happen with this as well. So if they want to censor all of this stuff, it is going to make more artists than it kills by a ton. Okay, so when they did this, Frank Zappa had the coolest quote about this. And we could just change a few words around and it'll completely make sense for Spotify as well. But this is for the proposal of all the stickers and the regulating and the censorship of art. So Frank Zappa asserts, the PMRC proposal is an ill-conceived piece of nonsense which fails to deliver any real benefits to children, infringes the civil liberties of people who are not children, and promises to keep the courts busy for years dealing with the interpretation and enforcement problems inherent in the proposal's design. Yes, because even that proposal was subjective, because they would take artist and they'd put Prince on the top and say he's part of the dirty 15, what do they call it? No, filthy 15. Say Prince, lyrical content about sex and masturbation. Motley Crue had violence and language. Twisted Sister, violence. You understand that violence is one of those things they use because it has a negative connotation to it. So the second you say violence, it can create violence or something like that, everyone goes, well, I don't want that. Of course you don't. No one wants that. It's violent for you to say I can't say things because then you're suppressing what I get to do with my art. That's violence. We don't want that either, do we? So this is just a really, really dumb move. And, I've one of the cool things, and you gotta love Kendrick Lamar for this. He called up the chief executive officer of Spotify. So the CEO of Spotify, Kendrick Lamar, is just like on the cell phone, like, hey, I got to talk to you, man. So he tells him he's not happy with this at all. And he's considering he might have to remove his art from their platform, which they're making money from. And that's having them walk this back a little bit. But man, I mean, I hope they either learn from this or they actually do crash and burn, because I have no sympathies for them. None at all. All right, so I'm going to try to do a mixing stream later today. If you guys want to come, we'll actually do music stuff and not just, I hate this political stuff, but you have to defend yourself. You really do. As an artist, you have to defend yourself, because if your art just becomes sterile and they wash it and they make it what they want, it's not art anymore. So I'm going to try to do a mixing stream today. Let's say 2:30. We'll try to mix one song, and then I got a few other things to do, so I can't stay forever. But let's spend an hour or two doing some mixing. It'll be fun, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Let me know what you think about this Spotify. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I can't imagine when you actually consider what's going on and you take any of your political beliefs out of it. Like if you're on the left, or like the really far left who have this total identity thing going on, you might be pro this, but you would have been totally against when it was the people who were like, oh, it's this religious stuff. We need to keep it away from the kids because, it's the devil's work. It's the occult words of this artist. So, try to be honest with yourself. Censorship of art is bad either way. So I'll see you guys soon on the mixing stream. And, I hope that you can tell me what you think about this. And, I'm very open to being wrong about anything. So let me know.